Hey, welcome to Creative Block. We're your hosts, Vee
and Megan. We interview people in the creative industries about their life, work, and hobbies while we doodle jam.
We ask people on not Twitter anymore. We're done with you, Twitter. We asked people on YouTube and Instagram and Patreon if they had specific topics they wanted us to discuss, as well as some drawing prompts.
Today with us, we have Mortis Ghost.
Hi!
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Mortis. It's kind of really fun to have you on because, first of all, you're a first indie game developer. You're also a comic artist. And I found out about your art through comics because you participated in the Tezuka International contest.
Oh, yes, indeed, I did that.
You did, and so did I. And I saw your comic, and I was like, wow, this is so cool.
Oh,
and so I followed you like this.
Okay.
And then I was like, wait, he made an indie game that was really popular. So I found out about you through comics first.
Okay, well, thanks for having me tonight. I'm really glad to be there. It's very cool.
Yeah, and it was really fun too because I reached out to you about like coming on the show, and you're like, oh, I don't know by my English, and then you're like, oh, just watch my 15th anniversary stream and then tell me what you think. And I was like, you sound perfect. You're great.
Nice.
I think so I'm gonna ask you a little bit real fast. How did you become interested in art, drawing, and creating worlds like that?
Oh, okay, that's a big question. So, my grandfather was a painter, and my parents are artists too. They are comedians. So since childhood, I'm in contact with art, and it seems quite natural to me. Since ever, I was encouraged to draw at every steps of my childhood. And I was like obsessed with video games and and comics since I can't remember. So it was really obvious for me that I wanted to do comics and video games if I was able to. Yes. So it's the question was never asked for me. It was really an obvious thing. I had to be an artist and I had to do what I wanted. So in video games and comics, which was my two obsessions since ever.
That's really cool. I love that you had different type of artists in your family too, that you had like your parents were comedians and your grandpa was a painter, so you had different examples of what art could be, because there is something about the way you write that is very specific. I feel like the way you use words, it's very poetic, and you put it in your bio as well. You said adventurer poet. I think it's really clever.
Thanks. That's like of a joke for me, but I'm really happy if you like it.
I know it's a joke. Okay, here's what I'll ask you. It does feel like you're being a little bit like you're making fun of yourself, but there's a little hint of it's also a little true.
Yes, obviously. Yeah. The comics for example, the comics I made for Instagram last year or two are really poetical stuff. I'm not sure I'm 100% at ease with this since I'm making fun of poets, but maybe I'm one too.
You're coming into your own
uncomfortable.
Poetic.
I'm not at ease at 100% with this topic, I must say. But
you said you were obsessed with games and comics. What are some of your favorite games that when you were
that's also a huge question. I really love JRPG, obviously. And my favorite one are Final Fantasy VIII, Mother 3, and a bunch of others. Persona 5 was really excellent game, I think. And there is a lot of games. I really love video games in the world. I can't. It's quite hard to do a selection. Like, I love playing video games. It's something like when I've got spare times, the first thing I think of is always video games. And when I can't play video games like for a week, I'm feeling sad.
Oh, really? Wow, you're like, yeah, you're really a gamer.
I
I
understand.
don't really like the gamer word, but I am. Obviously, I am.
Do you find that like video games as a media is just like inspiring creatively for you?
That's a big question too, because I think video games, as at least the big market of video games, is a really commercial world, and there are a lot of how to express it. But I think, in comparison to the money there is in big video games, the result is quite poor, and I'm quite often sad about what the game industry looks like. But this is also a world with a lot of indie works and people, which makes a lot of really, really interesting stuff. So, and it's quite new, this aspect of the video game industry. Like, it doesn't have 10 years, the fact that they are indie creators. Before that, it was only big creators. I think it's in between a very creative world and a very commercial world. It's the most of the two aspects of these artistic possibilities at the same time. I don't know if I express myself clearly, but
Oh, I think I know what you mean. I think like if you compare it to comics, for example, where comics, a lot more of it feels indie. Like there's some mainstream comics, but I would say mainstream comics are maybe not the biggest part. It's mostly indie comics, or at least in the French, Belgium area of comics is mostly indie. But video games is kind of like the other way around. Like the biggest money maker are the AAA games. And the AAA games are, like, I don't know. Is there any AAA games that you would like, that you would say that you like?
Yeah, obviously they are, but comparatively to the potential video games I think have, this is quite sad what the industry does. But I still have fun with really big games. With one of my friends, Valentin Sech, maybe you know him, we've got a game we do all the time. It's to think what video games could be done by big. We create video game concepts theoretically, and then we had this game make us just sad because the ideas we can have in 15 minutes. It's really pretentious to say that, but like. We are, if Nintendo would do that, we would be so happy. And
I feel like I kind of want to, I want to talk to more people in games, because from our perspective, Megan and I working in animation and having worked on big, like for me working on Spider-Verse and seeing how it is working on these titles, you're like, oh, like there's so many people giving input, and you know, like you're in a company that has like shareholders and stuff, you know, and it's so big, you're just a little tiny person, and you don't have that much leverage. I feel like it probably is similar on like for Nintendo and like all of these big video game companies, where they're like, we gotta make sure everybody all over the world plays it.
This is quite extreme. The scope of video game world is so big. It's intense.
But that's what's so cool about making indie games, because for you, making off the game, like it's like, I feel like I've read in a lot of places that off inspired really big titles like Undertale.
Yeah. I wasn't. This is quite a mystery to me still now. As already said in previous interviews, I made off as like a hobby. It was for pure fun. I didn't. My stuff at the time was to do comics. And like in my spare time, I had this program, RPG Maker, and I was like, oh, let's do a game with that. It's fun. And my real work is to do comics. Okay, my studies and what I will do in the future will be comics. So this game is just for fun, huh? And it happened to be like my most known work today. Still 15 years after it released, it's still the stuff I made which is the most known and which had the most impact on the on people.
Would you say it's because it's one of your only works translated in English?
Maybe, yeah, but my comics, my big sci-fi comics, Dr. Cataclysm, was translated in English, but it wasn't published anywhere except on the web. But this is the same thing for Off, so it could have. But I think reading comics on a computer isn't as fun as playing a game, so maybe it can explain by that too.
I mean, for me, because like I remember when like I first discovered Off, and it was so cool because I was in college, and everyone was like, "Did you find this game?" And it was like the fact it was like hidden online, and like someone posted about it on Tumblr, and it was like the secret thing everyone was sharing. Like combined with also like the subject matter is like just really cool and kind of creepy. It was like the height of the internet where like creepypasta and stuff was really popular, and I think that really helped like get it spread because it was just this really cool, interesting, unique thing that like started off as like, oh, did you know about this? Did you know about this? And it was just, it felt like you found like a secret online.
But even
like, whoa,
even playing it recently, because I played Off very recently, I would say maybe last year, and it still hasn't lost any of its charm because I think the world. You're so clever with the way you created the world because it's very simple. The designs are very, very simple, but they work with the world you created with all of those kind of like crazy imageries from like almost like Industrial Revolution type of diagrams. Did you find these on like, were those like kind of free
absolutely
images online? Where did you find these? Because they're so
specific.
It's
not free content. I could have a lot of problems with the content of There's a lot of copyrighted stuff in there, and the ending music is like absolutely copyrighted too, and not my property at all. But as I said, I made the game for fun. I published it on the website that was like with only in France. It's like a RPG Maker fan website, so there were like maybe one or 200 people on this forum, and there were only I don't know to express it really, but it was a really niche, it wasn't supposed to be something distributed, and that's like it happened that this Autrian person, like which is called her name is, it's a shame I don't remember her name because it's Queen of and she's someone from Austria, and she sent me an email like, can I translate your game? I was like, what? Are you sure about that? You want to like, okay, something like 50% played it already, so it doesn't need a translation. But if you think so, why not?
I love that for you. 50 people, you were like, that's great. I did my job. That's enough.
Yeah, but
go home and go to bed.
The purpose wasn't to have any success.
I think that kind of goes to speak. Like there's something that I've kind of realized as a creator where you have to really just do something you find fun and just making something that you really love without worrying about anything or any like people's reaction. And I want to know how, for you, how did you find the motivation to like kind of stick to making the game? Because making a game is a lot of work. And you said it took you like a year to make it?
Something like a year, yes. Obviously, I had in mind, I wanted my friends to play it. I wanted to show it to my friend and have some feedback from them, but and some people on the net too. But I had the intention wasn't to have a big success. That's why I was like, I was in this RPG Maker community since years, and I knew some of these people quite well. And I was like, hey, I made something quite funny for like in comparison to other RPG Maker projects. This is quite original, so they will be surprised by my ideas and they maybe find these funny. I don't know how to express that, but this was really a fun thing. Making the game was like a game itself. The RPG Maker program was really easy to use and limited to. So I was like, oh, I can't do this idea I had. That's not a problem. I just there wasn't any enjeu. How do we say that in English?
Stakes.
Any stakes at all. I was doing it for pure fun.
I think that's really cool. And you said something about how you're trying things, and if it doesn't work, it's okay. You'll just kind of figure out a way to make it work within the game engine.
Yeah, or drop it down for the most.
Yeah. And I was wondering, because how did you figure out the story for Off? Did you have the whole story figured out, or were you just kind of making the story as you went along?
Absolutely not. I didn't had the story. What I did precisely, it's I opened the program one day, asking to myself, could I? It was something I was doing time to time since I love this program and I used it already for years at the time, and so I was like, could I do something with and doing all the assets myself? Since for most of the game created with RPG Maker, you rip off some asset from other game like SNES games. Or PS1, and so I was like, maybe now I'm good enough to do all my asset myself. Can I do that? So I made the asset for the first zone myself and scan some drawings, doodles I had on my on my desk, and made the first zone and the first dialogue, which were mostly the same as today, and then showed them to my friend. I used some some other music I hadn't the right at all, since the idea was just to show it to my friend, and then my best friend of the time came to my house and I show him like, hey, look at this. This is a game I made myself, and it was 10 minutes long. And he was like, wow, that's so fun. Maybe I can do music for you. And then I was like,
so cool.
oh, okay, I can figure something with the story. and then
cool.
I wrote some ideas on paper, and it was more or less the really vague structure of the game, but it was really blurry and it was for fun, and I didn't made any plan or any big scheme. I was like, okay, let's do a game. It will be fun. But the important thing at the time was comics. So when I made comics for my school, I was like, okay, I want to do something really good. So I will do a script and a storyboard, and then I will think about all of my pictures. And the side of that, when I was working on Off, I was like, oh, it will work.
Yeah.
Next scene, I will draw monsters, and I don't really like that, but I don't have time to draw another one. So it was really a side stuff for fun at 100%. And I worked on it, and it was not effortless at all, but it wasn't really important. I made the stuff that was coming up. I was following the flow at 100%.
I think that's really interesting that you're mentioning that, because it's funny that for your comics, you're kind of following this very structured way of making comics. Like you said, you write the full script and then you break down your pages, and it's just a lot more rigid kind of way of working, I guess. Whereas for the game was and it's funny that you mentioned that, because I feel like I've made comics in both of these two ways. In one way where it's like very like you think about the script, you draw, and then you know, and then I've made comics where it's just like I'll just draw whatever and see what happens. And I feel like when you, I don't know, when you follow that kind of like fun and you're just like I'll just do whatever I want, it kind of maybe resonates with the, because you kind of, I don't know if you feel that way, but like you kind of tap into your subconscious a little bit more.
Yeah. A lot of
you
it,
know?
obviously. But since that time, I made some more comics. I made without thinking as much as I did when I was a student. I learned to let it go a little more. Maybe off helped. It's more than possible.
Because that's kind of what your poetic comics that you post on Instagram kind of feel like. It feels a little bit more like you're just kind of like, you know, I don't know. How do you feel like you think about them a lot, or is it more like of an inspiration?
No, it's I draw storyboard for them at the cafe with my friend, but it's not a big work of. I'm not terrorizing them a lot. I made them quite quickly, so I think we can say it's more like in the same process I made off, in the sense of I don't think of that. It's not following a big structure or something. It's just as I think of them. I draw the storyboard and then I made them properly, and that's all.
I was gonna ask you, for a long project like Off, where you said it took approximately a year. So there's that initial spark where you're like, this is so fun, and I'm doing this and it's going fast. I'm showing it to my friends and they're like, oh, this is cool. I'm gonna make music for it. But now I gotta finish the game and like make a full game. How did you did you come across moments of like, oh, this is so much, oh, like I don't know if I want to, did you kind of have moments like that where you were just kind of like battling your like sloth demon?
No,
That makes sense.
I don't think I had so much time like that. There were pauses in the development. I think I did had a quite long vacation in the middle of the game development, but that wasn't cause I was like, it was hard to work on the game at all. I remember at the very end of the process, I was like, okay, now I'm quite tired of it, so I want to finish it quite quickly. And I released the game. The original release in French was quite chaotical. There was a lot of bugs in the game, and it wasn't finished at all. So I had to do 2 or 3 updates, and these were quite. I wasn't really happy to.
That must be hard. It's like that last like thankless part.
Yeah, but it was really the real end of the game. Like the last month, I released it in June or at the end of May, or I don't remember exactly, but something like that. And there was these were my final exams at the same time for my comics studies. So I was like, okay, I finish the game now. It's at the end. I can do that quickly, and I can use my time to do more important stuff like drawing my comics. But it was a little too fast. I my game wasn't really finished when I released it at the first.
How did you make all the updates because like for a personal need of like, oh, I need to see this game actually working, or is it because people were like, there's so many bugs, fix it?
No, I wasn't happy with the unfinished game. Even if it was a hobby, I took like a year on it, so I wanted to have something complete and functional. It wasn't. I wasn't that. I was quite concerned by my game, at least a little.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You had enough love for it.
Yeah.
You were like,
obviously,
okay.
I was happy with the result and quite proud. I made a game. So
yeah.
That's
the thing. It's like I don't know. I think we're all millennials here. For me, I've always wanted to make an RPG Maker game, and I think it's just so cool that you did that while you were a student. Because You know, I feel like when I was a student in college, I was just like overwhelmed with the amount of work, and I was like, there's no way I can do an RPG Maker game. Even though I think it's the coolest kind of games. I guess, I mean, I'm an RPG type of like player. I don't really play first person shooters or any games that are difficult to play.
Okay.
I like some of my favorite games are like Space Funeral, like Off is definitely one of them now, or like Hylix is really really fun because it's like all of these RPG Maker games that look really crazy have like a very strong visual side of them. Yeah, I think that's really cool. How is studying for like how was college for you? Like, do you feel like the workload was a lot? How do you feel
College,
like?
you mean the end of my studies when I was like 18 or before that?
Oh, college as in in English. It's funny because in French, college means high school
Really? Dang.
in French. But you were doing your upper studies, right? You were like t'étais en quand t'as fait off, t'étais à l'université?
Oui, j'étais en supérieur. J'avais 18 ans, quoi. 18-19 par là. You mean how did I feel at the time I made off?
Yeah,
Or
or
before
just like
that?
how demanding was school when you were making
Okay,
off?
so when I made off, I was at Saint-Luc à Liège, which is a comics school in Belgium. And at the time, I don't know now because it's 15 years away, and all the teachers have changed, I think. But it was quite easy, I must say. But I was really comics were a sacred mission for me. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be really good at comics. Even if I wasn't really convinced by the teachers and the content of the school, comics were too important for me, and so I did all my exercises with the the most patient possible.
Oh, interesting.
But since the school, in my point of view, and at the time, once again, wasn't that difficult, it did not took me so much time. I had quite some spare time for me to make off and to play video games. So I didn't feel like it was hard times. It was quite cool. I had an apartment and I didn't had to work since my apartment was not too expensive. My parents paid it to me, so I just used my time to work on my comics art and making off on my spare time. Well, it was quite some good times. I was quite relaxed at the time, and I was transported. How can I say that? By the comics passion. So
Oh yeah, you were really carried by your
exactly,
passion for comics. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So
yeah.
my work at the school was really nice, really fun to do. Since it was my passion, my passion, and
Passion.
passion, and when I had to take a rest from it, I was doing off. It was like a game. It was a game to make the game, so I was like, okay, enough comics for today. I can take a rest and work on off.
Do you feel like so working on a game because I've kind of played around with RPG Maker but I haven't made anything long by any means. Do you feel like you spend more time coding or do you spend more time drawing? Like what when you think about the overall process, how would you say what took the most time in making the game?
Well, there isn't code at all in RPG Maker. You only have to click on buttons. It's really easy to use, but it's why it was so much gaming feeling for me. I was at ease with the program to use it without thinking how to solve this problem of there isn't code at all, and the game doesn't use any complex features of the program. This is the original battle system proposed by the game, so it's why the battle isn't really good in the game, but it's also why it didn't took me too much time to make it. I think so. The most complex part of the game was to make the visuals, and even more since I wasn't really at ease with Photoshop at the time. I was learning to use it, and doing like pixel art with Photoshop wasn't the most comfortable things. So I had a really laborious process. I was scanning some doodles, and then pixelate them, and then working on them to make them the more readable, possibly.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it sounds like it's more painstaking than just clicking the buttons to make the
Yeah.
game happen.
Yeah.
When the visual were done, I only had to click the button to make the game and write some dialogues, which was quite easy and fun. So yes, I think the visual aspect on off was a lot more complex than the other parts.
Yeah, dude, the way you wrote, I forgot. I think I played it in French. I think I played off in French, and the dialogue really goes a long way. I think the way that you wrote all of, because I'm the kind of person when I play a JRPG, I'm just like, ugh, this is so boring to read. Pass. But I read all of what you wrote, so
Nice.
Yeah, it's
Well,
good.
it's also like it was just really cool because it's almost like a mystery. Like you want to read because you want to know what's going on and like,
yeah,
what is your purpose in this game? It was cool.
Nice. I'm glad it still worked today.
Yeah.
It does. And I think there's this thing that's kind of, I think about this a lot, but okay, so, and I know you read manga because you participated in Tezuka.
Obviously.
But I read in an interview with like some editors of like a Shonen Jump or something that they really want their artists to be as young as possible, because when you do shonen, your demo is very young. It's like, like boys from 12 to 18. So that's what and their reasoning for that is, well, we want our artists to be able to tune in to like automatically to their demo. And I was like, man, and it's true that when I played off and you made it when you were 18, it did kind of spark this feeling of like being like a teenager or like a young adult, and you're like have this kind of like, oh, like the rage, or like, I don't know if that's how you felt, but there's a little bit, I don't know how to describe it, there's a little bit of like that quiet rage against the system, because everything is like, right?
I was quite in rebellion with everything in the system, indeed. And but it wasn't something I didn't think about it a lot. I was just like, I hate teachers, I hate hierarchy.
Yeah, hierarchy.
I will speak about that in my game.
I love it.
But it's not that clever when.
No, but I think it's not so much about being clever, it's about the feeling, and the feeling is there, and I think it really works still. I don't know, it's really cool. And I think I don't know, how do you feel about, it's a question I asked Jonan Vasquez actually in his episode of Creative Block. If you're listening to Mortis Ghost episode right now, listen to Jonan Vasquez episode after this one. It's a great one. I asked him, and I'm asking you, how do you feel about most of your fan base being like teenager, young adults, like now that you're like, are you the same age as us? Are you like 30 plus something?
Yes, I'm 36.
Okay. How do you feel about like still having a fan base that's like so young? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I will answer that. I'm really proud of my fandom. Obviously, it's they are really fun, really nice with me and with each other. There seems to be, at least, and I'm obviously very proud to have a mass of fans of my game. It's an achievement I hadn't the dream of. There are two facts. The fact they are quite young isn't a real something. I don't meet my fans quite often, since most of these are in USA, but I don't have a lot of fans here in Europe. I meet some of them time to time, but it's not that frequent. Comparatively to the messages I can have on internet. So I don't really feel the generation gap, but there is a gap between the love they have for my game and the love I have for it. This is the thing that separates us, I think.
That's so interesting. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yes, I can. I obviously I like my game. I'm proud I made this, but I don't feel a real connection with the themes and the scenarios. What the game tells isn't part of my concerns today. If the new stories I tell with my comics and my new video game are really different from what I did tell at the time, and so I feel quite a disconnection with my fan time to time, since they feel really concerned by what I I wrote at the time, and sometimes I feel like I can't answer their questions with l'investissement,
Oh yeah, like you're not as invested
as they
in
are. You know, and the process of the game creation too. Even at the time, I was like, I'm proud of my game. I like what I did, but it was just for fun, and seeing today so much dedication to the game and its content. I never had as much dedication as most of the fans have today.
I think that's so interesting and funny to imagine that. I don't know. I think you managed to kind of hit a very specific nerve in terms of like the subconscious, the feeling, and the imagery, which is really interesting. How would you say your new content is different from off? Like what are the themes that you're really interested in now?
I think off is, as we said earlier, it's a rebellious thing, and also even if I think off is quite funny and have a lot of tenderness, but it's mostly cynical and quite dark and edgy.
Yeah.
And this isn't something that speaks to me anymore at all. All my comics are about friendship and cooperation, and all of them have quite a positive ending, which isn't the case of. Sorry for the spoilers, but it ends very, very badly.
I mean, we're drawing some spoilers on this page right
obviously. Now. So yes, I think it's what I try to communicate with Off. It's not something I don't think what I said in Off is like stupid or doesn't have any sense. I had to communicate at the times some feelings I had about the society and the world, and some of these I still have some sense today, even with what I'm thinking about society. I don't really like the way society works today, and I think I'm still quite rebellious about a lot of things. But what I try to communicate in my stories today, I think it's more positive and a lot more about the links between people and how they can do a lot of good. And
I love that. Yeah.
I think it's healthy too for your your subject matter and stuff is gonna change as you grow up and when you're in different mental places too.
Obviously, and experiences I had in life and the fact I made Off also made me think a lot, obviously, about what I wanted to communicate with it, even at the time. And I think it helped me also to do my way in my own thinking.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I drew this comic when I was in my early 20s that has kind of themes of self-harm in it. And at the time I was like, this is so deep. And now I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, there's still people can still connect to it, but I'm not gonna do that anymore. Like this theme in particular. Yeah, it's kind of funny to. It is cool though. I feel like when you've kind of like managed to do a theme well enough that now you can be like, all right, good, now I can move on. I think that's really cool. I read somewhere that you're working on a new game.
Yes, indeed, I do. It will be a new JRPG with a bigger team and made on Unity.
Ooh.
And I learned 3D for that too. It's I'm doing 3D backgrounds.
Whoa, that is so cool. Are you using Blender?
No, I'm using a very small program called Crocodile, which is perfect for rendering like PS1 stuff. So it uses tiles and low poly textures, and so it's perfectly what we wanted to. So, and it's a lot easier to use than Blender. So
I love that. It's like this era's RPG maker. The next advancement.
Exactly, yes. I made a RPG for a Super Nintendo, and now I'm doing a RPG for PS1. So
yes.
That's trending though. It's like we like a lot of the indie games. I love it because it's all like the kind of, the look and feel of the games that we grew up with. We just keep going back, which works really well for indie artists too, because you don't need these massive budgets to create like a whole Red Dead Redemption world or anything. It's just you can keep like this really small contained story.
Yeah, we've got quite a small scope, but obviously doing a game in 3D isn't that small at all.
Yeah.
So we try to get a balance between what we would dream as a perfect RPG of the PS1 era and something we can do as a small team.
Who's in your team?
I'm working mainly with my friend Luca Oliveri, which is you know him?
Luca's great. He does the comics too.
Yeah, it's a really good comics artist. He was published at Pew Studio.
Yeah. Yeah, was great. Miss them. And they're done now.
Yeah, this is a shame, but
yeah. Does Luca also do designs, or does he help code?
He's doing. We've got programmers. We are like 5 on our team right now. Two people make the code. I'm doing the script and the 3D backgrounds, and Luca is making the characters and the 2D animations for the battle system.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome. Wait, hold on. You said you're 5 people and you have 2 coders?
Yeah.
You and Luca. That's 4.
Yeah. Well spotted, Inspector. Well, the last one makes the music.
Nice. Amazing. Okay, so I'm guessing, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing you guys are doing this for free and because it's a side project, right?
Not exactly. This is my main project from now. Yeah. This is, since it's evolved. There are all other people involved in the project. I can do that as a side project. We are doing that as a serious stuff. For now, we are trying to create a demo then selling it to publishers.
Nice.
Can I ask about finances? Are you comfortable talking about that?
Yes. Obviously, we did get, how do we say that, financial help from the CNC, which is
great! So like a
French
grant. Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know they were giving grants for video games.
Yes, they do.
Oh, that's so great.
This isn't a big one since it's only for the very beginning of the project and we're a very small team, but it already helps. We all have side projects that give us money. I'm a comics teacher in an academy here
Nice.
in Brussels, and Luca is doing another comics at the same time he's doing the game. Everyone is working on their own. So for now we don't have a lot of money in the project, but we try to keep it on. And but the objective is to finish the demo and found some publisher and then get paid for real.
What was really cool about when you're talking about off was that you had the community of the RPG Maker, like the French speaking community of like RPG Maker. For the current game you're making, are you part of any kind of communities or like, I don't know, servers or like how or is it just more of a like you and your team kind
of? For now, I'm sharing some insight of the game, the creation process on my Patreon. But I can't say it's a real community. These are some fans that give me some money and I share some pictures, but it stops quite there. I'm sharing obviously some of my progress with my friends, since it's a really important thing in my creative project in general, to share with my friends and have feedbacks from them and people I know. But there isn't a real community stuff.
Yeah, I always ask this question because I feel like having some kind of a community helps stay motivated, but I guess since you have like the Patreon already and you have your group of friends, that's like enough for you guys to stay.
As I I don't really seek for success in my life, I must say. I'm not against it. But I don't really care. It could seems like pretentious, but I really care for like the validation of my friends and my. I'm happy if I've got enough money to live, and if what I'm doing as an artist have enough people that like it. But I don't need a lot of fans. I don't know how to express that. But with my different projects, aside from the medium, I try to communicate some stuff, and like if it touches one or two people I don't know and they are really moved by my ideas, it's enough. I don't really need to have like
just having a couple of people like you're saying that like really connect with your message.
It's really more important that having like hundreds or thousands of people reading my comics. I don't really care.
It's also healthier.
That's great. That's something that I'm so glad to hear you say, and something that is so healthy. Like Megan said, it's like so healthy, and it's great to hear it on the podcast. It's like, like when you know what you're trying to communicate and you're reaching a couple of people, that's really special.
This is what I seek. I hope what I do communicates the precise idea I had in mind when I created it, and if it precisely do the job, this is the most important, apart from the number of people who will be touched by it. I don't know if I'm clear.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
No, it's very clear.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's really great. I think that's it's really awesome to see that. Like, I think it's something probably that is very specific in your work is that even though you're an artist and you draw, and that's how I was like, I kind of came across your work. I was like, oh, that style is really cool. I want to know who this person is. And then I found your Instagram and all that. Your writing is also very specific. You have a way of writing that is...
That's very nice. I'm really glad to hear that. I do my best.
Like both of them are like kind of like really, it's kind of like the together it's like really important. And I don't know, it's just like I was saying, I don't know if it's just that you tap into this kind of more subconscious, but there's like the poetry, but also a feeling of like, how to describe it. It's a little bit like
Well, I think it's just authentic. Cause like how you were saying, like, you know, a lot of the content you do is stuff because you want to do it. It's not about like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing because I know this is gonna trend and be popular. It's more about like, I'm doing this because I like it.
Yeah,
and
obviously,
whoever likes
the
it
most
likes
important.
it. And I think that's probably why Off got so popular, you know, because it's like you did something that was just very authentic to what you wanted to do, and people like subconsciously pick up on that when someone's being real versus like someone's trying to make something just to be cool.
I would be really happy if that would be true. I hope it is.
I
don't. You can believe it from us.
We can really say, because success is also an hazardous thing, and I was really lucky to have all these people play my game. And I hope this is why this works so well. This would be an excellent reason. I would be even more proud of. I'm still am.
You should be proud.
I am. I really am.
It is so cool. I think it's yeah. It's so cool also to see your style changing, and I really like, obviously, like I really like how you draw now. I actually became familiar with your art with your current art.
Thank you so much.
It's very specific, especially because, you know, when, like I was saying, in the Tezuka contest, like everybody draws kind of like your typical anime, but you have this very kind of more modern.
I didn't draw the Tezuka contest manga was drawn by a friend of mine. I only did
You only did
the scenario.
The scenario! Holy moly! Okay, but that was a style that's similar, though. You're in the kind of same vein, no?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. I don't know, there's a little bit of like the Little Prince kind of...
She's called Marie Penal, by the way. We can say her name.
Oh, she's awesome. We need to get her on the pod. That's so cool.
She also lives in Brussels.
Yeah, I remember reading some comments of people. I kind of want to get it on this pod as well, but like people asking you about your style changing over the years. Like, how would you say your style evolved, and do you know how it evolved, or like why, or like
obviously my style changed since my inspirations changed, and as I think every comics and every artist in any kind, when you draw for a bunch of years, I think it's like an obligation. Your style will change. It's quite strange if it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I think I discovered a lot of new artists in between the creation of and now, and they inspired me and made my style change, as everyone. The fact you mentioned Tezuka is really it's an artist I didn't know when I made Off, and which is now one of my favorites, so it's a very important one. My style, it's not something I really think about. I just try to get better and better at what I do, and so it happened to change my lines and my shapes in a more like what I do now is more like potato shaped stuff. And before it was like more sharp and messy at the same time. There is something really, as a comics artist, I wasn't really concerned at the first time by the volumetric importance of shapes. It was more the art I did was obviously less technical at the time, but I'm not really a technical artist. But I learned since, but also it wasn't synced as shapes more as something flat. That would be how do we say it? How can I express it's already hard to express that in French, so but yeah, the volumetric aspect of shapes is really more important for me now. I like my images to be synced in a 3D way.
Yeah, it's a little bit almost, they feel a little bit more like toys, like real
There's like dimension.
Yeah, whereas prior it was a little bit maybe more.
Obviously, I still use like 2D tricks. Since I'm not an animator artist, I still can cheat as much as I want, and I do. But in comparison with the stuff I did when I was younger, I think there is a huge progress in this direction, and I will try to keep it that way.
You said you teach comics. As a teacher, what is your philosophy?
I'm a very yeah. This is interesting. Since I met I teach comics for young people, like teenagers, and it's like 2 hours a week, so it's not like magistral stuff. It's really not night, but on the afternoon after the school, they can go in my workshop every week. And I meet the parents of the new students like yesterday, and I had to explain my method to them. And already
wow, so you're just giving us the speech now.
And I think I'm doing stuff like I would have liked to teachers do with me, but it's how to say it. It's a really I'm trying to follow them much than to tell them what to do. I'm trying. I'm giving exercises to let them learn how to do how do we say that storyboards and comics character creation and character sheets and stuff like that to force them to have like to think about technical basics. But I'm not forcing anyone to do a real construction of characters, and I'm trying to seek in every of my students what they'd like to be as artists and follow them on their own path. I think I'm really relaxed as a teacher. This is like the all drawing, and I'm coming aside every one of them and asking them, okay, what do you want to do today? Okay, that's
it's really I would have loved you as a teacher. That sounds great.
There is something too that's a lot of my friends doing comics or drawing are like quite stressed by the work they do and the results they have to produce every now and then, and drawing can be a really stressful thing when you're doing your work. It becomes your professional thing. It also comes with a lot of pressure and tension, and all the fun in drawing can disappear quite easily.
Yep.
And we can already see the beginnings of that already when they are teenagers and they are at my workshop, and there is already a pressure to do good things and technically well done pictures, and I try to what I'm trying to do is having them keep the fun in drawing. I think it's one of the most important things.
And I think it's true what you're saying is like you're helping them to come back to that fun.
Yeah,
and not worry so much.
Yeah, not taking out the most pressure I can and letting them know, even if they can work today if the drawing isn't as good as they think. It's not that important. They already learned something with every step, and drawing is hard, and drawing needs a lot of work to be good and satisfying. But it's also fun. So you need to find a balance between the amount of work you like to put in it and the fun you can take out of it. And at the point it becomes too stressful and not fun at all, it's not good. You need to find a balance between those two poles. And I think, I don't know if it's a generational stuff, but a lot of students I've got are already so much stressed about their results and what they produce. I try to work mostly on that, and then trying to make them discover new things and progress, obviously, in what they want to do.
And yeah, no, that's so important because, like, especially like Vee and I working in animation and like doing storyboards, like that's like the one thing, the most valuable thing I think is like learning not to be too precious with what you're doing especially for your job, because otherwise you're just going to resent the thing that you originally loved to do. Yeah. And no one wants to be there. And that's like the hardest thing for us as artists working in this industry is that, like, you know, we love the thing that we're also paid to do. Yeah. Which is really difficult. So you kind of have to like learn to like separate that. Otherwise, you're just going to like not find the joy in it anymore.
Yeah, drawing is it's as every artistic stuff, it's really personal, and you can't do it without putting a lot of personal feelings and stuff into your work. So if it becomes a pain, it's really not good. It's a lot of my friends from school and after school dropped the drawing and stopped being artists because it was too hard for them, and it's always something quite sad, I think, to stop doing art. And so, but I understood the reasons, and it was pressure, and it was teachers or commissioners that created an ambience, an atmosphere that was too hard for them.
Yeah, this is like a reality. I was just like over the summer, I was just kind of talking to some of my family members about that. I was like, I think the hardest part about having a creative job is to remember to have fun, because having a job that is also your passion can be very damaging to your ego, because you're like, this is what I do for fun, this is what I love, and then people start criticizing it because it's a job, and then it's like, oh, this is my little soft self that I am putting on a platter for you.
Exactly.
And like no one understands that either. Like I always say, like I think the closest profession to us are like chefs, because they're also judged on something they love to do that's like a passion that takes years to perfect. And it's just, but somebody else without like none of that knowledge can just dismiss it in like a second, being like, I don't like that. And then just crushed. And the same thing when we draw something, it's like, it took so many years to get to the point where we could draw something this quickly that looks like, oh, we're just doing it for fun. And when somebody's like, nah, just, oh God, it's so hard to, I don't know. Sometimes art is hard.
Yeah, art could be so hard. Art could be so hard.
I think that's why it's so great that you have this mentality teaching your students, because I do feel like, especially in art school, like teachers can be like kind of ruthless sometimes, because there's this mentality of like, oh, you have to learn that it's going to be hard out there and people are not going to treat you nice. So it's like, I get it, but also like
it's still school, so you don't have to do that now. Maybe it's not because someone else will do it later that it's a good idea to do it already.
And being able to tap into that fun and that creativity, I think is so important. I think it's something that I had to find again after years of working in the industry. I had to be like, I need to allow myself to have fun because that's how you get the best work.
It's true. It's hard. I feel like only, like, for me personally, even, like, animation is so cutthroat. And there's, like, kind of trends and styles that you're sort of expected to adapt to when you first start out that it kind of is damaging. I feel like only just recently I started to embrace the way I like to draw and the content I like to draw again after years. Because it's hard. You try to, like, fit into this group and, you know, the pressure of getting jobs and all that stuff. And then you hate your art. So, I don't know. It's tough. But now I'm finally like, okay, I'm just going to draw things I like, content I like. And if people like it, then they'll like my stuff too. And if they don't, that's fine. They can go somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of thinking, I think.
Do you ever have creative block, Mortis? Do you, and if you do,
yeah,
how do
I
you,
do.
what does it feel like and how do you deal with it?
Okay, I do, and I hate it. as most of the artists I know, and I think every artist had. What do I do when I've got artists? I think for the most I just stop drawing, and when it's really not working, I don't insist. I'm like, okay, today is not the day. I will do something else. I will read a book. I will play video games. I will go for a walk, and cooking something, and not thinking about it now. I think art is really something you can force it. It's not working. It's never, for me at least, it's never working. If I force, I will be unhappy and I will produce some bad things. So when I can't do what I'd like to do, when I'm blocking on something, it could be storyboarding or drawing something precise or even writing a dialogue, and it happens a lot of time. It's not rare at all. I just stop. I will walk with a friend or drink a coffee or something like that, and then like the next day maybe it will be better, and maybe the art block will still be there, and we'll have to find something else to do, and like working on another project maybe, but I never try to break through it. For me, it never works, and I know it's like it's a luxe. Is this working in English?
A luxury, yeah.
Luxury,
yeah.
I want to do the best I can, and I know for myself that forcing will not give a good result. So I'm not pushing too hard.
I think that's great. I feel like I like that you said that sometimes you like ring up a friend to like have a coffee or whatever. Do you often pitch ideas to friends when you're
all the time? I'm I'm doing that all the time. I can't work without my friend, I think. All the scenario ideas, I tell them to all my friend. Every small progress I do in every project I have, I show it to all my friends. I have a quite near circle of friends around me, and we share a lot of stuff. But I think I'm one of the most of the one I share the most. I think I can't wait something to be done. I need to share it with my friend at every little step.
That makes a lot of sense. I feel like this is something that we haven't really talked about a ton on this podcast, but I feel like having a community and people you can share stuff to and having feedback is so important to
community in this sense. Yeah, obviously. I need the people around me. I couldn't stand to be alone and working without sharing what I do. It would be a huge pain.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it's hard, and you feel like you're a monk.
Like, yeah, exactly. I'm not this kind of people at all. I need to share. I need to see also what my friend do, and it gives me a lot of motivation to see my friend projects and stuff, and it gives me ideas and speaking about the process. I very often I go drink coffees with one of my friend who's doing comics here in Brussels, and we speak of comics, and it's not the only one. I speak with a lot of my friends about comics and creation and stuff. This is really important to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I feel like I agree. I think it's so important to I don't know. I feel like it's something that I had to learn at some point in my life where I was like, oh, I'm struggling with this idea, and like being like, okay, it's okay for me to reach out to someone and be like, hey, what do you think about that? Does it work? Is it funny? Do you know? Yeah, so true. We have some amazing questions from our patrons, from Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I am going to start with our patron, Fez Hoof. Hi, Fez. And they ask, does the relatively large-scale success of your game weigh you down when you create new projects out of fear of not living up to the same expectations? Or has it rather elevated your opportunities to create in the creative field? So
I don't feel any kind of pressure from my community for two reasons. The first one is that my followers and my fans are mostly off fans, so it took me some time to understand it, that there was frustration at the time, but now it's 100% okay with that. But if it doesn't concern off, my community will don't most of my community won't be interested by my projects. It could be something that would be something sad or frustrating, but it's not at all, because it it removes a lot of pressure from my projects. I can do anything I want, and if it concerns off, I know it will be followed by a lot of people, and that's nice. But if not, in any cases, as I already said before, I don't really care. I do the things I want to do. I share the stories I want to share. I'm working of things I want to communicate. And if it doesn't touch a lot of people, that's not important. As long as I have enough resources to live, and as long as it doesn't touches zero people, if if I did a project that had a really bad feedback from everyone, I would be really sad. But as long as I touches like a small bunch of people, it's okay. And that's what I keep in mind when I make projects. So obviously my state of mind changed since the of success. But I don't think I feel more pressure now than before, in a way or another.
That's so healthy. You're so healthy.
Oh, I do that for me, because this is like also it's for myself. It's an egoist way of thinking too.
Yeah, but you have to, though, because I think you are like, I don't know, as a creator, you're creating for an audience, but you're also creating for yourself. And if you can't create 100% for the audience, or then you're not going to be authentic.
I'm trying to work for myself, even if it's quite egocentric.
I think that's great. I think you found the key. I think it's like, I wonder if it's because you're also working in comics, where it's like you're making, I feel like the nature of working in comics is a little bit more like you're not working for a boss as much. Like you're kind of like your own boss.
Yeah, there's no like structure like animation where there's like, you have to follow these trends and do this thing, and it's like, okay.
That's not that big, but we've got publishers too, and they have needs, and they want some commercial success too. So there are also stuff to follow. But
Is there any?
it's the scale is so smaller than animation or video games. I think I can do more or less. I can do what I want in the comics world.
Did you ever get like a note on a comic that you were like, oh, come on?
Like by my publishers?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It happened. And I had some long discussions with some of my publishers too about the content of some of my books.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's funny. And do you feel like you had to convince them,
Oh
or
yeah. It happened a lot of time.
did you win? Did you?
I'm quite stubborn, so at the time they drop it down. And since the scope is quite small, once again, I can they can drop it down and say, okay, whatever you do, whatever you want. The book won't sell, but it's not our problem.
So funny. That's so interesting. From our patron, Just Toby, are there any other developers you want to work with on a project in the future?
A developer as structures or people.
You could say both. Like you could say structures that you're excited about working with, or also people like game dev. I'm guessing.
There's a lot of I feel okay. That's interesting. I don't feel as a. I feel now. I feel as a professional comics artist. I feel I'm in the comics world. I know a lot of people doing comics and professional artists, and I'm feeling like I'm part of it. But in the video game creation, it's really different. I don't know a lot of people. I spoke to Toby Fox once, but
whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I must say, I am very happy with that. But a part of him, I didn't had a lot of connection with professional in the video game world. So there are people I admire and I love art, but I don't feel like I'm part of this world, even if I did this game. And I would be really happy to meet other game creators and make games with other people. But creating a game is so much work. It's like making a game with another creator I admire would be still feels like a dream. It's not something I can really think of seriously for now.
When you say it's a dream, is it because you don't feel like you're part of the community, or is it because it just sounds like a lot of work?
Both of them.
Both.
But I can really easily imagine to work with other comics creator. It's something I already did and I will probably do again. But like working with video games, even indie stars, like I really like Lucas Pope works and Terry Kavanagh too, but I couldn't say I would love to make a game with them. And also, since there is also something else, it's like in video games, a lot of different aspects in creating a game, and I feel comfortable with making scripts, creating stories, but I'm really not good, or I'm not even the beginning of someone who thought about gameplay and all the important aspect of video game. I really love that, but I really don't feel at ease with all of this. I never the game I made until now are JRPGs, and I love JRPGs, but they are the really they are like Excel. sorry, I'm frustrated to explain what I like to do, but this is really an easy kind of game, a genre. It's not easy to do, but easy to elaborate and think of.
And yeah, because the structure is already there. Yeah. So it's already like, oh, there's going to be turn
exactly,
like
and
turn fighting. You're going to go through the map.
And
yeah.
even in this easy structure, it's not me that that's doing it. For off, it was an already made program, and for my new game, it's my friend Luca who is doing all the complex stuff about the gameplay. I don't really take part into it, so I don't feel like a game developer even now, even after off and making a game right now.
That's so interesting. That's so funny. Yeah, you're like, it's because so on the internet I learned that when people say a game dev, that means anybody who does a game. So it means also the artist, it means the people who also write the script. So technically you're a game dev. Yeah, it's kind of funny that you're
obviously.
like, oh, I'm not. Yeah, it's funny. It's really funny.
I think I am, but I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
You know the difference.
So if like a coder came to you and was like, hey, I love your ideas, can you write a script and I'll make it into a game, would you be like, would that be like awesome?
Oh yeah, I think I would have to speak with them to see what if we are on the same like line, if we could, if our works would match,
like your sensibilities.
Yeah. But I love to do a collaboration with other artists, so I think I would probably say yeah, of course, quite quickly.
Oh, that's so cool. We have a question from YouTube from @Gerbaud Fernandez 1925. I think you kind of answered that in the podcast, but I think it's kind of nice to kind of hit on that again. They asked, did you have specific stated goals for what exactly you wanted to make when you started your project, or were they more freeform?
It depends on on every project, obviously. For off, I had nothing in mind at first. I just did stuff randomly, and then I built the game around like a very blurry script I wrote, and it was really step to step. There wasn't any big construction, as I already said, but for other projects like my last comics called The Son of the Mages, which isn't translated in English, unfortunately, but I took so much time to make the storyboard of the story of the project. It took me like a huge amount of months. And the story isn't that complex, but yes, I wanted it to be quite perfect, or like I had in mind, and then doing the drawings, the real drawings of the comics, took me like twice less time than doing the storyboard itself. So it depends really about the project, the idea I have, the medium I use. It could be both.
Do you have more fun? Which one do you have more fun doing? The one where the freeform one or the planned out one?
It depends. Obviously, doing something more constructed is more complex, so there is a lot of more art block in this kind of process. It can be quite painful to do something really well done. It's not the good expression, but something more cerebral.
Oh yeah, intellectual. Yeah.
And make a good construction of a project at first before drawing it could be really more painful and more complex. But it's also really, when you as in all works, when you take a lot of effort and a lot of time in something, and at the end it finally works, you are so happy about it. And so I think the two methods are good in different ways and give different results. So it depends. Sorry, it's quite blurry as an answer, I think. I hope it's okay.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's a great answer, because I do feel that thing of like when you do construct something very intricate, then it's painful, but when all the pieces come together, it's like when you finished a puzzle and you're like,
exactly.
yes.
The puzzle is the perfect metaphor. Exactly.
Yeah, which is very different from like something that's more freeform and you're just kind of like in a sandbox and building castles. And if the castle ends up being really pretty, you're like, heck yeah. But it's just more fun. Sometimes it might just end up being a pile of nothing, but it's more, the process can be more, it's a very
it's a very different feeling and a different very different result.
That's so true.
That both are good. It depends of what you want to do and how you feel the best as an artist at the time you make your projects.
Yeah, I agree. I used to feel like I always had to do these like intricate like storylines and plots and stuff, and it was very daunting. And then I would never start because then I would be like, "Oh, it's too scary."
This is also a problem. An art block even before the project begins.
Right?
But like in movies too, I don't know. I watched a movie called Love Streams by John Cassavetes like 2 or 3 days ago, and it feels like it improvised a lot of scenes, and even in the final cut of the film, there is a lot of bizarre stuff and stuff. I think is just said, "Oh well, it works well like that." There is not a lot of thinking beyond it, but it's also a very intellectual film. And very I loved it. I loved the movie, and it gives me a lot of emotions and really efficient things. It communicates something really deep and efficient to me. But the movie isn't constructed as a very clever thing like other good movies could be. Like I don't have an example in mind just now, but
I guess I kind of like those kind of like
both
Inception kind of movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like, it's so clever and has so many layers.
Yeah, it's not my favorite one, but the example is good.
No, I know what you mean.
But
I feel like
what I
think
mean
with
is
movies,
both methods give different results, but none of them is like the good method. Depends on your intention as a creator. And both have different difficulties too. I don't know if that Taiyo Matsumoto, who made a lot of excellent mangas, made one called is the name of this manga? It's Go-Go Monster. I don't know if you know it.
I haven't read that one.
Okay, but there are like interviews where he said like, this one was the harder I ever made because I hadn't any plans.
Really? That's so funny.
And the result is like quite dreamy, and I love it. It's really good, but compared to his other stories, there is less structure, and it's more blurry. And even so, it was the one that was the most painful to do for him. So
that's so interesting.
It's really interesting. Yes, I think it depends of the project, of the creator, of the intention, and it's a balance to found for each project, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really true what you're saying too, that it depends on the project and probably on the theme, and sometimes the theme needs to have an approach that is a little bit more freeform, but if it's a theme that's a little bit more complex, then you need to kind of like think about it a little bit more.
Working by yourself or working with a team is also a really important aspect.
aspect of it.
aspect to take. Like, it's really more difficult to make something you go by, and you don't have a very strong structure. If you work with a team, it's not something easy to do, because everyone have to have a lot of confidence in you as an artist, and it's really harder to push a team if you don't have something strong to show them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You're like, okay, if you know what the plan is, it's easier to get people to follow you. For sure.
Obviously, and they will go on with more confidence in the project if they know it's strong and they have a good structure already. It depends. Once again, it depends of who you work with and the size of the team and the kind of project you do.
Yeah, it's that's really true, especially like for you moving from comics to video games. We have a great question we have a lot of questions about your inspirations. So Squid Blush on Twitter asked like what your biggest inspiration is, but we also have a question from @lolico_99 who asks, Mortis, what motivates you to do art? What inspires you? I like how serious this is.
This is okay. So what I think it's a necessity. I just can't imagine myself without telling stories and doing art. It's simple as that. I don't know how people do. People who don't do art at all, I don't understand how they work in life.
I agree. I need my imagination to go.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's also like I just don't like dead air or like not doing anything. If I'm just sitting somewhere, I usually like, in my bag I always have Post-its and stuff. Just even if it's like crappy doodles, I gotta do something.
Yeah. I can do nothing. I'm able to do that, but if I don't do art like for a certain amount of time, I will be unhappy at one time. And I think art for me is a way to communicate things I can do otherwise. I think some precise feelings can't be communicated without telling a story around them. And human emotions are really complex. This is really intellectual stuff, but I think this is there are a lot of human emotions that are really complex to share without transform them into stories or pictures or stuff. And communication is really the word for me. It's important to share with others a lot of things that pass through my mind, and this is not only because they are good stories. This is also because they touches like complex emotion and feelings.
That's so true. I do feel like there's some stuff that you can only get through. When I say drama, I mean more kind of like characters interacting within a story, and it's kind of hard to explain with just words. That's a really cool answer. I love that.
Yes. That's my only hope to seem cool.
That's all. Like that's your life plan. Is just to be cool.
Obviously.
I mean, obviously you've talked about this. We have an Instagram question from @cap1tal5. It's capitalist with a 1 and 5 _ Delph. Okay.
Whoa.
Why did you choose a batter for the main character of the game? Oh no,
I can answer that, but it was a doodle I had under my hand when I started the game.
Free form all the way. Oh, and they asked another one. I didn't want to ask this question. I wanted to ask if you had plans on making other games in the future, which obviously you do, because you're doing it right now.
I'm doing one right now, yeah. It's called Help. I've got
Help!
That's one
really
letter
cool.
more than my previous game.
Add a letter every time.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, we'll see that.
Can you tell us a little bit about, how much can you tell us about the game? Like, for example, can you tell us what kind of a world will it be? Is it going to be something... Yeah?
It's some sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
It's a story with androids and robots in the very far future. It takes place in another world. It's not ours. And it begins in a desertic planet, and then we'll have the player would be able to visit other worlds. It's a very narrative story. It's really narrative driven with strong characters, like all the RPGs. Our main inspiration is Final Fantasy, because we both fan with Luca of FF8.
Oh, yeah. Oh, funny! Funny that you like that one.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
This is not the most loved, but this is our favorite.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'm in the camp of like, I'm okay with this one. My favorite is obviously 9. Final Fantasy 9. That one.
I understand.
So,
I love all the classic Final Fantasies from 6 to 10. Beside of that, it's more complicated, but these 5 games are really important to me. So I don't. I really understand. Everyone have his favorite, his or her. Oh.
I'm ashamed because I only knew what Final Fantasy was through Kingdom Hearts. I was like, whoa, who's Cloud? This is cool. And then I like bought it for my PlayStation and I didn't understand. I was like, this doesn't play like Kingdom Hearts. And yup.
This is 100% okay too. I played all the Kingdom Hearts in a row.
Okay, good.
So I won't judge you at all.
I was on that side of people who was like, how dare they put Disney with Final Fantasy? It doesn't make any sense.
It made sense to me.
I don't think it makes sense at all, but it makes quite fun video games, so it's okay.
And it's just like, wow, these characters are so cool, and they're with Mickey Mouse.
That's exactly what the game wants you to feel. This is so cool. And
oh boy.
And it works.
It works.
Yeah. That is so funny. Ooh, I really like this question from Twitter, from @Zybernate. What's your favorite kind of story to tell? To clarify, what are some major themes, plot you enjoy?
This is quite complex as a question. I never really think about it. What are my favorite themes? I obviously love sci-fi, but this isn't something I do that much. But I love it. I love with time I most focus on personal feelings and communication between people in my stories. This is the main theme of my last comics, like the Son of the Mages. It's only about communication between people, and I think Help will speak a lot about this too, about cooperation, about how to live together, and even if we don't have the same ideas or the same way of working, this is I think it's the most important theme to me. It's also a lot of the narration in my other comics, Dr. Cataclysm. It speaks a lot of that, living together, speaking together, sharing things, understanding each other, even if they are different and they have different way of thinking. Yeah.
I love that communication. Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about a lot as well, just because I feel like, I don't know if you kind of like read up on the new generations and stuff, but I feel like now there is a little bit of like, it's kind of harder for people now to interact and communicate. I don't know. I feel like I've read a bunch of articles about like there's like an epidemic of like loneliness, and it would be kind of cool to kind of, I don't know. It's cool that you're interested in creating content that's about connection, and communication.
Yeah. There is this is philosophical stuff, but we've got a lot of social links and net, and we communicated a lot with a lot of people, but we a lot of emotion and stuff is still hard to connect between people. I don't know. I'm speaking. I'm thinking and speaking thinking and speaking at the same time. I don't know if it makes sense.
No, it does, because it's like communicating words and ideas is easier than communicating emotions, I think. And it's tough to communicate emotions properly if you haven't done work on like understanding yourself and understanding how the same emotion can appear different ways, like through different words. And sometimes it's really easy to misconstrue. It's really cool. I love that. Let's see. We have a lot of questions about the characters of the game, but I said I kind of wanted to kind of stay focused on the act of creating what it's like being an artist. So let's see if I can find a last one that is, I guess like this is going to be fun. From @DeltaRowBase, will there be a sequel to Dark Souls Ace 2, the best game ever made?
Okay. Do you know about this game?
I don't, but I think you do if they ask the question.
Yeah. This is a game we made like 2 years after off, something like that, with a bunch of other RPG Maker creators on the French community of RPG Maker. And it's a really strange and stupid game with a lot of randomness. It's really hard to describe the game. It's, by the way, also it was released before Dark Souls 1. So it's not a reference. The game name isn't like a wink to Dark Souls by From Software.
That's crazy.
It's a wink to another game created by a French RPG Maker creator, like which was called Dark Souls. Like,
really?
Yeah, that's
so crazy.
And when Dark Souls was released, the From Software Dark Souls, we were like, oh, the name of our game. And I'm a big Dark Souls fan, by the way, but that's not the question. But this game is like just big delirium we created between us, and it's quite hard to describe. Yes, that it's a lot of very short sequences, very psychedelic, and with stupid jokes. And it appears randomly when you launch the game until you decided to close it. There is no end to it.
Oh my god.
It's really stupid, and it was really fun to do with a lot of very fun people. So yeah, but it's quite old now. It's like I think it's at least 10 years. So I don't think there will be a sequel to Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls .HIS 2, the exact name.
That's so fun.
But it's a really good memory to make this game.
Was it made? Did you make it in the context of a game jam, or was it just like?
Not at all. It was a fun project we had. There was already a Dark Souls .HIS 1, which was already a parodic game made by a bunch of RPG Maker French creators, which was even stupider, I think. And we decided to make a sequel at the time, which was Dark Souls .HIS 2. Maybe one day we will do a third one, but I think the energy isn't there anymore. It was something of a precise time with a precise group of people.
Yeah, product of its time.
Mm.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to plug at the end of the podcast? Like any, like maybe your Patreon or like a comic or project you're working on?
Oh yeah, I've got a Patreon you can contribute to if you want to. But I it's not that important if.
What's the best way people can support you?
Giving on my Patreon is the best way, obviously. But reading my comics and follow me on Instagram and giving me feedback if you like some of my work is as important.
Comment on
For now I can live from my heart, so money is always important. We don't know how long it will last, and my current situation is okay, comparatively to previous one. So I'm not rich at all, but I can live with my art and my teacher hours. So if you don't have any money, don't give me money on Patreon. Give to someone else. But if you're quite rich and you like my work, you can do that. I'm not against it. I prefer to have feedbacks and or comments or stuff like that. I prefer to share about what my work communicates to you if you like what I do.
I think that's so true. I feel like as artists, like getting feedback and seeing engagement from our fans is the number one important thing. So if you're listening to this episode and you love Mortis or any of us here, please comment on our posts.
It's not for the ratio. It's like I really like to know what you think of what I do.
And with that is the end of this creative block. Thank you so much, Mortis, for being our guest and sharing your story.
With pleasure. Thanks to you. I hope what I said was understandable at most of the time.
No, it was great.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and thanks to our listeners. Follow us on the remains of Twitter and Instagram and YouTube at Creative Block, where we ask for drawing prompts and questions to ask our guests. Huge thanks to our editor Clemens for editing the podcast and Marco for helping us produce the show.
If you love our show, then support us on Patreon. Becoming a patron gets you early access to interviews as well as bonus episodes. Other ways you can support us are to subscribe, share, and comment. All of that is great for visibility. Click the link in the description of this episode. I've been your host, Vee.
And I was Megan. Keep being creative, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.